Hey guys, so welcome to another episode of Awaken Dreaming. It's our fifth one. Hype.
Woo!
Sorry for that. That probably was horrible. I might edit that out. Anyway, my name's Yuta Jazz,
I'm Jessica.
and we're gonna be talking about Dreamweavers or Dreamweaving, just dreams in general and how, like, slight little bits on how that relates to you. This is probably gonna be multiple parts on like all of the detail, but for right now and today, it's gonna be a woo dive in at what dream weaving is and what that means and how it affects the person, and maybe some different, like, personal things on like how we experience it or do it for ourselves, because it's different for everyone. Also, not everyone that lucid dreams is a dream weaver. Like, those are two different things. Maybe we'll get into like what's the difference, but yeah, um, let's get into it. Um, you have way more to talk about than I do about all of this.
I mean, I kind of do. Um, Dreaming was a huge part of my spiritual awakening.
Mm,
Um, that I went through, and it's something that happened from a really young age. And I know that this isn't. I'm not alone in this. But there are times, and it might not be dreaming, by the way, for you, but there are times that as a child we experience things and we can't comprehend them and we can't understand them, and we don't have necessarily the people around us to comprehend and explain them. And so we just kind of put it in a box, and we might not necessarily, for me, I didn't really talk to many people about my dreams and my experiences until I started to get a lot older in life. And that's when I started to open up, interestingly, to different people. I know there was a guy that I used to speak to, and like hearing the fact that he had premonition dreams like I did was revolutionary for me because I'd never met anyone that had premonition dreams. They were different to the way that I dreamed, but the fact that he had dreams, I was like, "Oh my god, hang on a second, like, I'm not alone here in this planet experiencing this." There are other people that are actually experiencing the same thing as me. Um, so that, I think, for me, dreams is such a big part of why I'm actually here within the spiritual community.
mm,
Um, and I guess probably one of the big dreams, and this, I'm gonna actually share the dream first before I actually explain what dream weaving is, because I'll kind of explain premonition dreams and dream weaving and how it kind of works for me. Um, so this is a particularly gruesome dream, I guess you could say, and the dream was, actually of a guy that I knew that was over in, I think it was Afghanistan, if I'm 100% correct. This is years and years ago, and he was on a contract, and he was in a Humvee, and I had a dream, and I was visualizing, like, I was literally seeing through someone's eyes in this dream. And I was definitely in a desert, and they're driving along. The the person I'm seeing through is holding a gun a particular way. There's a song in the background. There's two guys beside me, two guys in the front. And I'm kind of experiencing this dream, and all of a sudden I feel in the dream, which makes no logical sense to me because obviously it's a dream. I'm not actually physically experiencing this. I feel myself flip, and it just like full of dust and actually fully flip. And that was, and I wake up instantaneously after having this dream, and his name is on my mind. And so I message him being like, "Hey, are you okay? Just had a dream and your name popped up for me. I'm really worried. Please let me know that you're okay." And I didn't hear from him for about 3 weeks. By this point, I thought he was dead. I'm going to be 100% honest, because by this point, I'd been having several dreams that had come true. So I was like, he's 100%. he died. And I get a message from him from hospital being like, "Hey, sorry I didn't get back to you. I was actually in a roadside bomb accident." And it's weird because it actually happened the day that you messaged me and asked if I was okay. And he's like, around actually the time that it actually happened. Um, and I was just like, my curiosity got the better of me. And so I actually just asked him, like, hey, so in the car, where were you sitting? Like, and he's like, oh, I was in the middle and the back. And I was like, okay, tick. And I was like, okay, were you holding like a gun? And he's like, yeah. He's like, were you holding it this way? Yeah, I was. How did you know that? Just,
Mm.
intuition. Women are crazy like that. We have crazy intuition. And I was like, was there this song playing on the radio? And he's like, yes. And he's like, what's going on? And he didn't necessarily believe in premonition dreams, but the fact I'd laid everything out that had happened in the dreams and where he was sitting, how he was holding his gun, the song that was playing, even I think I'd mentioned like there was two guys beside him and two guys at the front, and they were like laughing and joking. Um, it all clicked in, and he's like, and I went, okay, so you know how in the message I said I had a dream about you? Well, that was the dream, and I was just checking to see if it lined up. Um, and he's like, "That's crazy." And he's like, "And you had it at pretty much the exact time it all happened, um, on the same day." And I'm like, "Mhm, yeah, this isn't my first rodeo. I've had this happen before,
Mm.
um, but I've not known, like, in a circumstance where it's been, I guess, this violent. Um, I've not known the person." And I'm like, "I don't know why I have it, but I have it."
Mhm.
And that was and I've had dreams of many horrific things, over the years that for most people, if they were to experience these things, would lead to more trauma. And I guess sometimes with these dreams, I will add little aspects for myself, and this is where the dream weaving aspect comes into it. I will add aspects into the dream for myself in order for me to either understand the dreams better, to comprehend the dreams better, or just to make it feel safer and make myself feel more calm and at peace with it.
Yeah.
Um, and so when we're talking about dream weaving, we're actually talking about the process of actually weaving reality.
Mhm.
So when my understanding or interpretation of, I guess, how I do premonition dreams and dreams is there are two types. I have what you call dream walking, which is like where I literally walk into situations and it's happening at the same time, like the story that I told. And that's more of a like walking around aspect that has different, you know, qualities and things that I can do, which I'm going to get into a bit later. And then you have the more where I dream about it months or years in advance,
Mhm.
and that's generally also where I tend to actually weave more into the dreams.
Mhm.
So then I get little bits of context to kind of help me understand and interpret this dream for later down the track.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Um, I know because obviously I've spoken to a number of people about like dreams. People do this dream weaving aspect into their dreams. But when it comes to premonition dreams, they don't necessarily tend to do it as like much. Uh how I know for me that my dreams are premonition dreams is my dreams are always very like colorful. The feelings are extremely raw and real. It's like I'm experiencing it in that moment in time. Everything, it feels like I'm in it and in a movie, I guess you could say, or actually experiencing it in that moment. It's very real, and I quite often wake up and like it takes me a few moments to actually go, hang on a second. I'm in bed. Like, I've just woke up from a dream, and then I have to process, obviously, whatever it is that I've dreamt about.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, so that's for me as if I have those calling sides of a dream, I take notice. I'm like, "Okay, this dream's important." So one of the keys if you are trying to, I guess, understand your dreams or get into dreams is to actually pick up the signs of what are the different ways that you dream.
Yeah. And
Because I
that
have
takes
what we
practice.
It does. I have what we call nonsense dreams, which makes no logical sense. Like it's those dreams that we all have.
Mhm.
That's like my dog ate my homework and I'm standing in front of my class in my bikini or something, giving like a speech that I've never written or never read and
Mhm.
freaking out.
Mhm.
Um, makes no logical sense. It might be something that I'm working through in my subconscious, but it's not actually grounded in.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Um, but I know that yours is different, Yuta, in the sense of how you dream.
I mean, mine are really different, but I did want to like before I got into mine, I did want to ask you like on like how like did you need to do any practice yourself? Like how did the practice of like, finding your like dream weaving thing or how your dreams just work with the premonition aspect of it or what to even do about the premonition aspect? Like that's the part that I'm really interested because I think that's kind of important like with dreams, especially when you're a psychic person or a person that has sensitivity or empathy of some sort or extrasensory stuff. You're gonna experience a bunch of this stuff and you're gonna need to figure it out for yourself primarily. Like there's not gonna be a lot of people that can help you with it unless they've been studying dreams for like a long ass time, but even then no one's an expert unless you're doing it yourself. So how was that, for you?
I mean, I didn't have anyone teaching me. I Everything that I learnt about dream was self-taught. Even up to a few years ago, I didn't even understand or interpret that I was dream walking when it was, in that moment, the present moment in time, it was linked into that time. I didn't comprehend and know the difference between the two.
Mhm.
I just thought it was all premonition.
Yeah.
Um because no one had sat down and explained to me, and when I tried to research these things, I didn't find anything on them,
Yeah. Makes sense.
that made sense. As for my own personal experience on it, when you if anyone's had any dreams of y horrible events, they'll probably know that you kinda don't want to experience that and you wanna shut it down. So I was trying to shut it down in every single way possible that I possibly could for a number of years and failing miserably. I was actually making it worse. I was getting more dreams. um they were getting more violent. They were getting like I was dreaming them in advance and all sorts of crazy things. Um and I would literally wake up like when I've had one of these dreams and I would actually start to Google whatever it was. I went through a period where there was a lot of plane crash dreams. And so I was literally Googling like, plane crash. And if I saw like the airline, it'd be like plane crash dream of like, you know, French airline. Or plane crash dream near Africa.
Mhm.
Like plane crash near Africa. Um, and I struggled with a lot of these dreams. I couldn't necessarily change anything. Um, that kind of shifted when I realized the whole dream walking aspect.
Mhm.
Um, and I was sitting down at work and I was talking to one of my coworkers and he's very wise. Like he's an older gentleman. And I was telling him about some of these dreams and I didn't understand them. And he like just smiled at me like as soon as he gave me the smile, I was like, "You know something? What the hell do you know?" Um, and he just turned to me and he smiled and I'm like, "What do you know?" And he's like smiled at me. He's like, "What? You don't know?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know." And he's like, "You saved those people."
Mhm.
And my brain just went
Mhm.
um not to say that, everyone that dream walks is gonna go and save people, like, I had no intention or comprehension of this happening, it's just something that I've done from a really young age, um, and he like, he shifted my perspective of it, because up until that point, it had been I'd understood and comprehended it and took it as, like, a semi blessing, um but I had to really look at it and go, "Hang on a second. Like, if this is accurate and true and I'm helping people, this is actually a huge blessing, even if no one knows that
Mhm.
I've helped them."
Facts.
Um, so this is where the interesting thing for me is sometimes now actually comprehending this and understanding this, I think sometimes those moments where you feel like someone is stopping you or helping you, keeping you safe, I now actually think that that's a whole bunch of people actually dream walking and also your guides and your angels as well. But I also think that it's actually people actually here on earth, actually helping other people on earth all over the world.
That fun little thing of when you read like, "Oh, you cannot dream about a person that you have never seen." Fucking bullshit. Excuse you. That happens all the time. That happens all the
I
time.
mean, I've dreamt about multiple people that I haven't met and then
Mhm.
met them or seen photos of them and who they connect to and they were with the dream and they were like and I'm like, how did I know that they were brothers?
Yeah, like very confused.
Yeah. Like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, how did I know they were friends? Like, well, how did I know I was gonna meet this person, like, in a few years' time, but they were gonna be in my dream?
Yeah, that is very true. Um Overall, like seeing people that you feel like you know, but you also know you don't know and haven't seen within a dream is a
Mhm.
really odd experience because you have all of that awareness in that one little point, and then when you wake up, that's still there. Um, it's
But you
it's.
don't know who they are. Just like you know them, but you don't know them.
Mm-hmm. I remember I was really
Very
confused when I was a little kid because I'm like driving down the bus and I'm like, "You're that man! What the hell happened? Who are you? Do you know that you were there? No, you don't. I'm not gonna ask. I don't want to be that weird kid. But do you look like you're conscious and aware? I'm just gonna leave it. I'm just gonna leave it and be like, this is weird. Um, my dreams have been like interesting since I was a little kid because they've been like I think when I started dreaming it was when I was younger. It was me already experimenting with dreams because I don't know. I'm an interesting person and an interesting mind, and I have like a lot of odd thoughts already at a very young age. I was already thinking because I remember there being a specific bed, so I was definitely around 6 or younger. I'm like, dreams are interesting. I've heard people dream walking, like getting up and walking as they're dreaming. I want to experience that. I wonder if I can experience that. Would that work? What about going into this weird place called the astral that I've heard about? I'm fucking 6. And I'm like, oh, maybe I can go there. Because what I knew that at that point, I mean, not consciously, but in my subconscious, I knew that I would go to sleep to do two things. One is work on my family, and they're like subconscious as well as whatever we're going through, refreshing like reality, maybe setting up a better circumstance than what's gonna come up, reviewing what happened throughout the day, and then the other side of it is literally screwing around as much as it can with consciousness or whatever probability and possibility there is, because why the hell not? And I think I did a 2 for 1. I think I was somewhere somehow in the astral, or at least in my house in the astral, and then I also was also dreamwalking at the same time. So I got out of it was a crib bed, which I still fit into. So I got out of the crib somehow, crib bed. I like perfectly climbed over it, fell on my back though, then walked around throughout the house, and I was trying to do something with my guides, who eventually then somehow put me to sleep within the dream, and somehow made me go back to my bed. I don't know how that happened, but it was weird. That was like probably the first instance of me becoming conscious about dreams and etc. And me trying to figure out what to do with them. And since that point, it was like I didn't know that it was mostly either like my dreams were mostly reworking current reality, looking what the probabilities or of future realities are, especially within relationships with people. I think that then grew out into me working on people within dreams. Mind you, I didn't really know this was happening. I kind of just like was literally trying to figure out how powerful the mind is and what you can do and how much your intention matters and how you can shift and shape that. I didn't believe the point of any of this that I'm saying currently. Now that I'm looking back, I understand that. I remember like my all of my dreams would be super vivid, detailed. I could write a book when I woke up. I would have like 7 to 10 dreams a night eventually after a long process or a long period of time, and it'd be a bunch of things. Eventually, I got tired of working in dreams with people, myself, the like psyche of all of us, or like the future that was gonna come around. So I started having lucid dreams where I'm just having fun, which was great. And then it stopped for a really long while, really long while. After which, when it came back, that's when my mind was like completely blown open, because I started having dreams and deja vus when my dreams were completely dead stopped for a few years, of like moments in time that are like half a year in the future, and I didn't understand what was happening. I remember I even called up a person. I was like, I was thinking about you in this dream. It was Valentine's. I was really upset. I was really angry. The only thing I can remember, because it was so short, is me turning the corner on an alleyway, being a really sunny day, and then seeing a brick like wall, and out of nowhere being like, oh, it's Valentine's, oh, that's great, and I'm like confused as hell, being like, what the hell just happened? It's July, Valentine's is way far away. I don't understand, like, what? It's And then eventually that actually happened. Exactly the same thing happened. I called him up right after that, and I'm like, this is why I was surprised. Remember when I was like confused why I was so surprised about the whole entire day, why it was so vivid, this, that, and the other, and whatever. It was this moment right now. I like, and I was all over the place. But that was the first instance that I found out, like, oh, okay, so my dreams don't just relate to the future in terms of like it creating a deja vu feeling. My dreams actually correlate with the point of how time cycles in and out. And at that point, I didn't want to be egocentric about it, but I'm like, it doesn't just involve me. Like, I would want to keep it just isolated to me, because I don't want to, influence other people on their life experience and journey. But I don't think I can even stop that or do anything about it. And I think this is gonna keep happening. And it kept happening, except in smaller intervals. There were my guide team started mixing things up, like, oh, okay, so what if we give you a deja vu experience type of thing about the future, but it's like a really really bad situation. And I would shift it and I would change it. When the moment would come in the future, it would actually be way better than it was previously. And it kept happening for the following like 2-3 years. I was shifting absolutely everything I was experiencing into a better state, or a higher timeline, if you will. Like, I played around with timelines. so for the last 5 years, my dreams have been me reworking subconscious or conscious or whatever reality for myself as well as others, because I do go to others. I have meetings with them in the astral. I make us both experience whatever we need to in terms of like what blockage they have or what fear they have or what they're overthinking about or what they're not seeing or this, that, and the other. Most of it is in very dreamlike type of experience. It's very crazy. You wouldn't think it's like something you should pay attention to, but it's just too weird to not pay attention to and talk about. Then you figure out like, oh, it has a whole huge ass thing with this person's life and what they're going through right now, and I really need to talk to them about it, and I need to explain everything, regardless of how awkward the dream is. Um, there was actually a situation like that with you and a friend of ours who
Mhm.
I was like, I don't understand. She was flirting with me. She was like trying to get it on. There were like multiple people in the bed just sleeping. And I was like, no, go away. I don't want to do anything with you. You're my friend. I mean, like, no, let's not go there. That was a really uncomfortable dream. And then I wake up, talk to you, and then I also have to talk to this woman about him, be like, you wanted to fuck me. I'm trying to help you here, but it's kind of difficult. You gotta learn and go through the process and figure out like what do you talk about, what do you not talk about, what's real and what's not real. Um, but yeah, that would be the most basic and like normal sense of my dreams, which is not
Mm.
really that normal if you think about it. Uh, like, oh yeah, it's just have like psychological reworkings of every single person I love and care for, as well as my own shit. Because
Mhm.
that's my idea of fun when I go to sleep. It's not wet dreams. It's spiritual psychology. While you're sleeping.
I mean I mean, you know this, but, I also have, like, dreams of I mean, and honestly, like, I think there's gotta be a better way to spend my time and dream. I also go to, like, meetings and have paperwork, and I'm like, "Seriously? Like, I don't even want a freaking office job, and I'm dreaming of going to meetings around different things and, doing paperwork," and it's like, why is this happening? Can't I just go have fun, like, in the astral plane and, like, dance around? And I've definitely had those dreams, and I definitely
Mm-hmm.
have those times. Um, and that is honestly, when you do that, that's where the whole, I guess, dreaming your own reality really comes into it. Because I've definitely had dreams where I've realized I'm dreaming, and then I'm like, "Great, okay, I'm gonna really fuck with reality right now."
Yeah,
Um
that is amazing.
Um, and sometimes I actually think some of these dreams that I'm kind of fucking with reality, I'm certain they're not my dreams, and I'm bring with someone else's reality and dreams, and they're probably waking up going like, "That is the craziest, most fucked up dream I've ever had in my life, and I don't understand why it didn't make sense." And I'm just like, you know, having fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um,
You have an aspect of you just being like a total bee, uh, standing right by their bed while you're like fucking with everything, like, and then they wake up like, what the fuck? And you're just like, I'll come for you next time. Haha, that was
mhm.
great.
I mean, my favorite one of that was 100% definitely not my dream, was that there was this stage, um, and, I was with some friends, funnily enough. I'm pretty sure they're actually dream I actually made them dream walk with me.
Hmm.
Um, like, I was like, "You're coming with me on this adventure, like, let's go. Let's have some fun." Um, and this stage, they had the performers, but the performers were facing the back, and the stage would go from a stage to this big puddle, and they were literally all the dancers were in sync. It was like like the Chinese kind of, absolute precision
Hmm.
type thing, and then they go from dancing to synchronized swimming,
Hmm.
um, in really quick procession. And I was like, "Oh, that looks really cool and fun. I'm gonna join in." But instead of like trying to fit into said reality, I was like facing the front. I was like kind of copying, but at the same time doing my own thing. Like if they went down, sometimes I was like, "I'm coming out," like, "Woo."
Mhm.
Doing my own thing, and I woke up from this dream, and I was like, "Oh my god, I've literally, like, fucked with someone's reality." Hopefully, they take it that they need to stand out in the crowd. Like, I hope that that's how they take that, and I actually did a good thing instead of, like, just make them go, "What was that dream?" Because they were sitting in the audience. Like, I
Mhm.
could see the perspective that they were sitting in the audience watching this performance. So they couldn't see the workings that were going on behind the scenes
Yeah.
around it. It was a great dream. Had a blast, of a time.
See, like you talking about the like are you like fully conscious about these experiences? Okay, because as
Mhm,
you're like talking about it and everything, like I'm remembering some experiences I've had, but you know how I work. I don't understand this until someone like unlocks it in my mind.
mhm.
Um, and I'm currently thinking like, oh shit, so that might have been one of the reasons people were slightly afraid of me when I was younger because they knew that I might do some things to them in their dreams, including karma, shadow work, and other things if I really didn't like them or I felt like they deserved it. Because I would still try and figure out a way of it being for their highest good, but also still fucking with them so they are not an asshole anymore.
I will
Whoops.
say that when it comes to these types of experiences, there is a level of responsibility on a soul
Oh,
level to help
yes.
the person. You're not just gonna fuck with them. It's actually to help them progress through something.
Mhm.
Um, Even if you in the dream don't internally understand and comprehend um what's going on. But that's also the same as well. I will say with premonition dreams, I've had premonition dreams where I've been in a situation, there's been a conversation around me, and I've literally said the same thing that I'm saying in the dreams. And I'm like, and I've comprehended in the moment that it's actually playing out. Hang on a second, this was the dream I had exactly where they're saying, oh
Yep.
my God, she said exactly that. He said exactly that. And I'm internally freaking out. And before I can even think about it, I'm actually saying the thing that I said in the dream, and my brain's going, "What the f
Mhm.
going on?" I just said exactly the same thing that I said in the dream, but I'm having a freak out panic attack, and they're all still chill with it. They're continuing the conversation.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess that brings up, I guess, a really poignant point, which I guess is possibly different to some people out there when it comes to my dreams, which I view them as milestones. So there will be some people that experience this. That was when I had that experience for the first time. That was my understanding and interpretation. That was me actually teaching myself, okay, these dreams, even if you want to change them, sometimes you can't.
No, yeah. Fact.
This is something that's set in stone. You're being given the access to this information, so you are prepared.
Mhm.
So hopefully you can try and lessen it or reduce it in some way, or just so you are emotionally ready for these things to happen,
Yep. I mean,
and to let
that's
you know
good.
you're on the right track.
Yeah. That is basically it. You one thing about life, unless although you can change whatever I'm gonna say yourself, you can be like, "Hey, I'm gonna push it to the max." But life doesn't throw anything at you that you can't already handle, especially within spirituality, especially within many or all of these practices. If you've already done it, then you're gonna have like an experience or a knack or have it flow to you easier, and you're just gonna need to learn like all of the background, which any practice needs. Like accountability, responsibility, and all that good jazz, and just what your purpose is with it or what you want to experience with it. And
Yeah,
and obviously the other side of it of if you haven't done it all of your life or all of your previous lives and etc., then you have finally gotten to a portion of a level up that you've really wanted to get to, where you're accessing and acquiring a whole new skill and integrating
mm,
it into your entirety. So do enjoy that, but everyone's gonna have a completely different thing of it.
100%.
Responsibility is probably the most important thing because I think especially with dreams, because there's so much like misconception behind it from the scientific as well as the psychological community, that though like your dreams don't matter as much, or they're just dreams. But honestly, that's no, that's lies. The amount of stuff you can do within the dream is astonishing, because a dream, it's like a lucid form of reality.
Mhm.
Basically it's a more closed baseline, whatever pool of it from which reality comes. So you, within dreams, if you're dream weaving and dream walking, you can alter realities and timelines. You can shift people from a certain timeline or reality to a different timeline and reality. You can work past really significant big blocks. You can actually inform whoever you want about whatever. There's And you yourself actually affect yourself within dreams on a very major scale, especially if you're doing it lucidly or intentionally, because then you're setting it up to be like more concrete, rather than just loosely dreaming or whatever. Um
100%.
yeah. Um
I will say though, one of the things also as well that I came to understand and experience within dreams, if you do have a dream that you do think is a premonition dream, don't get yourself caught up on it. Like, don't try and make it happen, try and
True.
figure it out. Like, obviously spend a little bit of time with it, but there's definitely been times where I've tried to figure things out. And over the years I've come to realize I give myself like a day or two to really like work it over, and then I put it on the back burner. Because that's a quick and sure way to send yourself crazy. If it doesn't happen, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I mean, yeah, don't ever feel like you have gotten this for the reason of you have to make something of it, because making something of any experience or practice or gift isn't really the predominant point. Like, learning more about yourself with it is the important part. Then it trickles out into other people and whatever external or other circumstance that it connects to and is important with. But otherwise, you're just gonna keep yourself in a loop where you're worried and panicked, and making it to be a way more crazy thing than it is. Like, at the end of the day, dreams are gonna become really freaking interesting anyway. So you might as well not make it any more crazy than it is, because it's fucking really crazy once you start getting into it. I mean, like any person that's not spiritual and just is experiencing like lucid dreaming for the point of experiencing lucid dreaming will tell you it is absolutely crazy and astonishing what dreams are. And the point that it's better not to attach to it. Like, for example, I this year have had, I think it was 6 deja vus in a new workplace that I was in, and every single time it would be somehow different. There was maybe one, I think, out of the six that was basically kind of almost the same, like exactly the same of what I dreamt it to be, but not really, you know. And I was really tripping out and very confused, because I'm like, this kind of seems important, but at the same time I'm not gonna be around here, and this is the only, besides like me dreaming about some of our friends as well as like Jessica 3 years ago, and being like, oh my god, like I'm gonna meet this person, etc., and then meeting her and eventually having the deja vu and being like, oh my god, it makes sense. I was really pissed off when I woke up. I was like, who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? Why do you feel important? But then when you're having it in reality, onto like on a very minute point where it's kind of like literally you're experiencing multiple things within your body that correlate to different times, as well as don't all add up to be the one thing that you experienced, it's really, really easy for you to get into a rabbit hole of your own, choosing, creating whatever you want with it, and basically making conclusions that don't relate. I could have done that. I could have made a lot of, I guess, my own like ideas about why I was experiencing it or what it meant. But the best what I did is like whenever I'd have it, I'd sit with it. I tried feeling into it, because I knew that the feeling was really important, not as much as like comparing the two realities or the dream and what I'm experiencing currently. It was the feeling. And then I could tune into the point of like, okay, so why did I even experience this? Oh, okay, so this dream, the first one out of the six I experienced because it was proof that I needed to be there and I was meeting people that are either important or I was like fated or destined to meet. Oh, the second one showed me that, hey, the reality has gotten better by, I don't know, like freaking 110%. And I'm fine and I shouldn't be worrying. Oh, this deja vu has showed the point of like how much progress I've made in terms of my mental well being and emotional stuff and etc. and blah, blah, blah. Like, whereas otherwise I would have been like, oh, I need to like do this for that person or do this or this is actually what it means. And I'd be like Charlie from This Is Philadelphia, having the most craziest experience in my workplace as well as with all of my friends, and they couldn't help me at that point. Um, so really, really don't overattach. Kinda let yourself go through the experience of understanding and realizing whatever your dreams are for you, because they can be many things. We don't even know all of the answers of what dreams are, but yeah, don't go crazy about it.
Talking about dreams, big yawn from me. Um,
That's good.
and I will actually add on to this a bit and say if you're looking to go into understanding your dreams or actually because obviously there are people out there that we actually know one of these people that don't have dreams and have actually worked their way into having dreams.
Hmm.
uh it it is possible. um
Everyone
and
was
one of the
super excited for them, like, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the ways you can do that is actually putting intention. Um so if there's something, for example, that I'm trying to work through, there are times that I'll actually take it into my dream time, my dream
Hmm.
space. And I'll set the intention that I'm able to process it in my dreams, or that, I'm going to get a message from it in that space. And sometimes I get something and sometimes I get nothing. And sometimes I wake up and I feel like I've done something, but I don't remember it.
Hmm. Yeah, true.
Um, if you don't remember it, but you still feel there's a shift and a change, right? Because sometimes you're not going to remember the dream. And there's been times where I've had dreams, remembered them, and it's like before I even can get pen to paper, the dreams like dissolving in my brain. And and I might get two details on a bit of paper, but that's enough of that point in time that I might go back later on and be like, oh my God, I actually remember more of that dream. And I can
Hmm.
either write it down or express and talk about it at that point in time. So dream journals is also another one. Like if you don't want to write it on paper, most people have their phones near their bed.
You can send a voice message or record yourself talking or anything like there's variety. Um,
But it's important because, um, especially if you're having these dreams and you're trying to figure out if you're crazy or not, in the sense of are these dreams coming true or not. That was a big way for me that I actually went, hang on a second, no, like these are the details that I wrote out about the dream, and this is what happened.
yeah,
And obviously there was differences, and some of them were actually really similar. Um, but it gave me enough of a comprehension and understanding to say, hey, like the fact I dreamed of this, no. Like for example, I had a dream of a workplace that I worked in, and walking into this room and there being big copper tons, and me being like, "Oh my god," and running, by the way, running and being like, "Oh my god, it's like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory," and it was, like, the tiles were this beautiful emerald green, and the floor was this beautiful, deep, dark, like, maroony red, um, and with the copper tons, it just, like, stood out so vividly. And I remember waking up from this dream and being like, "Oh, like, that felt really real, but that's nonsense. Like, that dream, I do not understand or comprehend, but that dream has to
hmm,
be nonsense." I wrote it down anyway. And about 2 years later, that literal thing, I ran into a room being like, "Oh my god, it's like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory." Green tiles, maroon floor, copper tons, and I had a moment afterwards where I comprehended that I'd just done the thing that I dreamt about and was kinda like, "Oh, okay, so I guess it is real, but now I'm just gonna enjoy the what I'm actually experiencing, and I'll process this later." Um, so sometimes the dreams aren't gonna make sense to you.
Yep.
That doesn't make them more or less important them, write them down.
Yeah.
Write them down because I went back and I had a look at that dream and I had the green tiles, that like, had all those details and I was like, "Wow," like, yeah, kinda nailed it.
Mhm.
Um, Even some of the people that were in that dream, I didn't know most of them, and they were my coworkers, and I wrote some details about the coworkers in my dream as well.
Yeah.
Person that looks like this, that I seem to kind of know them, and I just started the job, so I kind of knew them.
Which added up and made sense in the future.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, so there are many ways that you can the other one that I do wanna add, if you wanna get control over your lucid dreaming, daydreaming.
Yeah.
Concentrating on daydreaming is a big one.
Or remind like there's a really easy programming thing for the subconscious of like before you go to sleep asking to lucid dream, and then the following day, regardless if you lucid dreamed or not, checking your reality, like making something where it's like you know that it's reality, but if you did it within the dream because you automatically trained yourself to do that, you're gonna be like, oh, this is fake. Someone uses their hands. Like if you look at your hands, there's something about it. Or if you look at a mirror or your eyes or whatever, just like if you want a lucid dream, you need to figure out and train yourself for that within waking life first, and then intend that for
Mm.
the night.
Exactly. Have those proofs of, hang on, this is a dream or this isn't a dream. Um, and then over time, you may not necessarily need these proofs to be like just a feeling or an energy space that you just instantaneously pick up on. And then you might do your checks
Hmm.
and you go, oh, yeah, okay, I'm dreaming. Or you might not. You might just continue to be like, well, I'm dreaming.
Hmm.
So I know that this is happening and this is going on. Um, But it is a big part for a lot of people's spiritual awakenings, and it's not something that we necessarily talk about. I know within the Australian culture, it is hugely important to the Aboriginal people. They have dream time, which is all about, dreaming their reality into existence. It's also about talking to their ancestors. So many different aspects fit into that dreaming, telling their stories, learning the cultural aspects all falls into that dream time aspect. And it's such a key part of their culture. And it's something that I think, as I guess the Western world, we could actually learn from these cultures that actually really appreciate the fact that dreaming and going to sleep is not just our body getting rest, it's actually a bunch of different things that we can actually use to help us within our waking life.
Hmm. I mean, in fact, dreams this last year have showed me how much I can repair my relationships, because it's one thing to be working on myself or other people or the timelines that I want to get to, per se, or experiences, but it's a whole different thing when you have a dream experience with another person that you haven't seen for like years, or have seen, or don't keep up
Mm.
with, and etc. Like, it is another layer on top of your experience with which you can do not just a lot of healing, but you can reconnect and relate with the people that you aren't really, and they don't need to be conscious of it. You can be the only person conscious. Like, I have a person that whenever they're in a lot of trouble and they need my help, they come to me in a dream, start arguing with me, and also lecturing me. I'm also younger than them, which is kind of like, I thought they were just doing the thing, but no, apparently that was their way of asking me for help, because we don't ever talk in the 3 day. So this is a way like they know that they can like get into contact with me and get a response, regardless if I'm going to be conscious of it or not. I'm still then going to go to them somehow, either when I'm dreaming or the next time we meet, something different is going to happen. Um, it's changed. We're not, in the times of like people from like the aboriginal tradition or whatever culture, like times when that was like a big thing. We're also not from like how whatever Indians or other people, like just cultures do this nowadays. There's a different practice to it or a meaning, but that doesn't mean it's any less, than what it was previously. It's just now it has a different face. It applies to so many things in our external reality, and it is really useful. Like once you start stepping into it, life just seems like it doesn't just have more variety, but it has more options and flexibility. And it's all in
Mm,
your mind. The power is all in your mind.
that is it. And I think that this is why I'm so excited for this episode to really go out there and share it, because I don't think we're having the conversations around um dreams often enough, and how we can actually use them to our advantage um to help us.
Hmm.
It's also the whole reason this podcast, like Awaken Dreaming, it's like waking yourself up from the dream and living your dream life.
Hmm.
Um, there's no coincidence that that was the name that we chose
Yep.
for this podcast. Uh, we're going to continue to be putting this message out there in different ways. But I mean, I feel like today's episode, we've really, I guess, dived into our personal experiences
Hmm.
around dreams and how we understand them
Yeah.
and how we experience them.
I do want to add because something you said triggered just a thing. Like when you first mentioned Awaken Dreaming to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, you genius, you woman, you. Um, and then really, the more I thought of it or with it, it was like the reason it's so perfect is because Awaken Dreaming points at two really important aspects of you getting into your power and living the life you want. One, the
Mhm.
point that you can dream within life in a way that's actually full on in terms of living and being wakeful for yourself and conscious and aware and moving forward within your development and betterment, but also at the same time the whole wakefulness or awareness or conscious aspect that you can have within dreams feeds into it, and it's like it's this like loop that you create with just two words. It's beautiful. I love it. Just wanted to add that.
And that's it. I mean, the awareness, like you may have got some awareness around how you dream. That's going to feed into your awakening, like your real life, and then going to feed into your dream life. And same can be said for honestly any of the topics that we talk about. The more information you have, the more it feeds in, the more you know. And you kind of like, I don't know about anyone else, but I've spiraled down many topics. Um, and I'm like, "Where's the bottom?" And I swear, like, I haven't found the bottom in a lot of the topics. When am I gonna find the bottom? Like, is there a bottom?
Don't think
But
so.
things just get better.
Hmm.
Um, and even if it's bad, like me, I didn't I used to hate dreaming so much that I would actually be like, "I don't want to dream. I would rather not dream. Thank you. Please take my dreams." Um, because the thought of experiencing different things terrified me. That's changed. And that's through information, knowledge, and actually understanding and interpreting, and also gaining more control over my dreams.
Yep. And I think on that note, it's great. It's a great idea to say the beautiful catchphrase. It's
It's time to start living.
stop dreaming your life away and awaken dreaming to start living your life.
Mhm.
There's like way more than both of us can get into like about this, but we're gonna leave it for this time. We just wanted something more personal out there about our experience, and then we can dive into all of the nerdy, geeky, spiritual, whatever stuff that we know about it, about the practical side of like dreams, the maybe psychology and neuroscience of it, because there's a lot of on that both you and I know and
Yeah.
really are excited about. I feel like, you know, yeah. Anyway, but for
Mm.
now, I think this is perfect. You have anything else you want to say?
I'm good. If you have any comments or you want to share a story,
Yes.
reach out to us on Twitch. You to Jazz, Princess Boo Boo.
Princess Boo in the house. I'm sorry.
Or on our Instagram, which is awaken.dreaming,
Yes.
as well. Or also on our YouTube as well, Awaken Dreaming.
Yes.
Um, so feel
Also,
free.
one last thing I need to say. You can go to the Twitch that just got mentioned to get all of the links that you need or want about any of the content both of us have. Also, you can receive clearings, healings, like astral clearings or bioenergy healings or something like that, like tarot card readings and etc. on my Etsy shop.
Mm.
And
And they are amazing. And
thank
I'm
you
not
so
just saying
much.
that.
Thank you. So, I think that's all of it. We'll see you on Twitch for the awesome streams of this, and hope you enjoyed
Mm.
it. See you next time.